The rain was coming down in sheets as I pulled into the driveway, the kind of downpour that makes the world feel gray and heavy. I'm Gerhardt, 43, and I work as a software architect in Austin, Texas. I should have been excited to be home, but a knot of unease had been tightening in my stomach all day. My wife, Lenore, had been distant lately, working late, attending conferences out of town, and generally just not being present. I tried to brush it off as stress from her job as a real estate agent, but the feeling persisted. I unlocked the front door, calling out, "Lenore, I'm home." The house was silent except for the drumming of the rain. I found a note on the kitchen counter, her elegant script instantly recognizable. Gone to Dallas for a showing, back late. No love you, no see you soon. Just a cold, impersonal message. Dallas was a 3-hour drive, a bit far for just a showing, even in Texas. My unease turned to suspicion. I decided to make myself dinner, a simple pasta dish, but my appetite was gone. I ended up just pushing the food around my plate, my mind racing. I opened my laptop, intending to catch up on some work, but I couldn't focus. The thought of Lenore, alone in Dallas, gnawed at me. Then, almost without thinking, I did something I never thought I would. I opened her laptop. It was sitting on her desk in the study, innocently closed. I knew her password. We'd shared everything since we got married 10 years ago. It felt like a violation, a betrayal of the trust we'd built. But the feeling that something was terribly wrong overwhelmed my scruples. I typed in the password and the screen flickered to life. I hesitated for a moment, then clicked on her email icon. There it was, a recent email from someone named Irvin. The subject line was "Tonight." My heart hammered in my chest as I clicked it open. "Can't wait to see you tonight, my love. The hotel is booked and I've got a bottle of champagne waiting. Let's make this a night we'll never forget." The email was filled with suggestive language, details that left no room for doubt. Lenore was having an affair. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. My breath caught in my throat and a wave of nausea washed over me. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I scrolled through the rest of the emails, each one a fresh stab wound. Irvin was a real estate developer she'd been working with on a new project. The emails spanned several months, chronicling their growing attraction, their secret meetings, their stolen moments. I learned that the conferences were actually rendezvous with him. The late nights were spent in his arms. I felt a rage building inside me, a burning anger that threatened to consume me. But beneath the anger was a deep, aching sadness. How could she do this to me, to us? I closed the laptop, my hands shaking. The rain outside seemed to mock my pain, each drop a reminder of my shattered world. I spent the rest of the night in a daze, pacing the house, replaying the emails in my mind. I didn't sleep, didn't eat, didn't even cry. I just felt numb. The next morning, Lenore arrived home, bright and cheerful, as if nothing was wrong. "Hey honey, sorry I'm late. The showing went really well." She kissed me on the cheek, a casual, meaningless gesture. I recoiled inwardly. I wanted to scream, to confront her, to demand an explanation, but I held back. I needed to be calm, to think clearly. "How was Dallas?" I asked, my voice carefully neutral. "Oh, you know the usual, lots of driving, lots of talking, but it was worth it. I think we're close to closing the deal." She smiled, a practiced, professional smile. It felt like a mask, a lie. "That's great," I said, forcing a smile of my own. "I'm glad it went well." I watched her as she moved around the kitchen, making coffee, humming a tune. She seemed so normal, so ordinary. It was surreal. How could she be so happy, so carefree, knowing what she'd done? I decided to play along, to gather more information before confronting her. I needed to know the extent of her betrayal, the depth of her lies. Over the next few days, I became a spy in my own home. I watched Lenore's every move, listened to her phone calls, scrutinized her emails. I discovered that the affair had been going on for almost 6 months. Irvin wasn't just a business contact. He was her lover, her confidant, her everything. They had planned vacations together, exchanged intimate gifts, and whispered sweet nothings in each other's ears. I learned that she had even told him things she had never told me, secrets she had kept hidden for years. The more I learned, the more I hurt. The pain was constant, a dull ache that never went away. I lost weight, couldn't sleep, and became withdrawn and irritable. My colleagues at work noticed my change in demeanor, but I brushed it off as stress. I couldn't confide in anyone, couldn't bear to admit that my wife, the woman I loved and trusted, had betrayed me so deeply. One evening, Lenore announced that she had to go to another conference in Houston. "It's really important, honey. This could make or break my career." She looked at me with those big, innocent eyes, and I almost believed her. Almost. "Okay," I said, my voice flat. "Be careful." As soon as she left, I started making plans. I knew I couldn't let her get away with this. I couldn't let her continue to lie and deceive me. I decided to follow her to Houston. I booked a flight for the next morning, telling my boss I had a family emergency. I packed a small bag, grabbed my camera, and headed to the airport. The flight was uneventful, but my nerves were on edge. I felt like I was walking into a trap, a carefully constructed web of lies and deceit. When I arrived in Houston, I rented a car and drove to the hotel Lenore had mentioned. I parked across the street and waited. It wasn't long before I saw her. She arrived in a taxi, looking radiant and beautiful. She was wearing a dress I had never seen before, a slinky red number that showed off her curves. She smiled as she paid the driver, then sashayed into the hotel. I waited another hour, my heart pounding in my chest. Then I saw him. Irvin arrived looking smug and self-satisfied. He was carrying a bottle of champagne and a small bouquet of flowers. He disappeared into the hotel, that was it. I had all the proof I needed. I grabbed my camera and walked across the street. I went to the front desk and asked for Lenore's room number. The clerk hesitated, but I flashed my credit card in a stern look and he relented. I took the elevator to the floor, my hands shaking. I found the room, took a deep breath, and knocked. There was a moment of silence, then Lenore's voice. "Who is it?" "Room service," I said, my voice muffled. The door opened, and there she was, standing in the doorway wearing a silk robe. Her eyes widened in shock as she saw me. "Gerhardt, what are you doing here?" I didn't say a word. I just raised my camera and started taking pictures. Pictures of her, pictures of Irvin, who was now standing behind her looking pale and terrified. Pictures of the champagne bottle, the flowers, the rumpled bed. I took as many pictures as I could, capturing their shame and guilt for posterity. "How could you?" I finally said, my voice trembling with rage and hurt. "How could you do this to me?" Lenore started to cry, begging me to stop. Irvin just stood there, speechless. I didn't say another word. I turned and walked out of the room, leaving them to their shame. I flew back to Austin the next morning, feeling empty and drained. I went straight to a lawyer and filed for divorce. I presented him with the pictures and the emails, and he assured me that I had a strong case. I also contacted Irvin's wife, a kind and gentle woman named Clarissa. I told her everything, showed her the evidence, and offered her my support. She was devastated, but she thanked me for my honesty. We became friends, two victims of the same cruel betrayal. The divorce was quick and painless. Lenore didn't contest it, didn't even try to apologize. She just signed the papers and disappeared from my life. I later learned that Irvin's wife had also divorced him and that his career had been ruined by the scandal. Karma, it seemed, had finally caught up with them. It's been a year since the divorce and I'm still healing. The pain of Lenore's betrayal will probably never completely go away, but I'm learning to live with it. I've started dating again, cautiously, and I'm slowly opening myself up to the possibility of love. I've also reconnected with old friends and discovered new hobbies. I'm focusing on my career and my personal growth. I'm determined to rebuild my life, to find happiness again. And I know that I will, because I'm stronger than I thought and I deserve to be happy. The rain still falls, but now, I know that the sun will eventually shine again.